Anjou-san is the kind of girl who gets under your skin without even trying. Bold, unpredictable, and completely impossible to read. Sato is just a quiet guy trying to study and survive high school. But somehow, these two keep ending up in situations that neither of them can explain, and neither of them can walk away from.
Sato is the kind of guy who eats lunch alone by choice, or at least that's what he tells himself. Anjou-san, a bold and effortlessly attractive classmate, has other plans. She drags him to her secret skip spot on the rooftop, completely unbothered, waving off his protests like they're nothing. And somehow Sato ends up sitting right next to her anyway. She teases him about being a sprout, basically a stick figure with legs, while somehow managing to look incredible just eating lunch. Sato is flustered, sweating through his uniform, trying to focus on literally anything else. Anjou-san eats whatever she wants, laughs at his reactions, and calls it a day. The problem is, she keeps pulling him back in. She gets close, too close, close enough that Sato can see things he absolutely should not be seeing during school hours. Anjou-san seems completely unbothered. Actually, she seems to enjoy it. She smirks, calls his reaction funny, and casually suggests they hang out more. Sato's brain is buffering at a speed no glasses prescription can fix. Back in the classroom, Anjou-san swipes his glasses right off his face. She puts them on herself, leans in, and asks if they match, grinning like she already knows the answer. Sato is basically blind without them, sputtering and reaching, while Anjou-san poses like it's a fashion shoot. She's running this entire interaction, and she knows it. The short comic interlude hits. Anjou-san discovers just how bad Sato's eyesight actually is. She holds up fingers. He squints like he's reading ancient scripture. She's surprised he can function at all. He's more surprised she cares enough to test him. It ends with her keeping the glasses a beat too long, and neither of them mentioning it. Then comes the ear incident. Anjou-san whispers something close to Sato's ear, and the sound that comes out of him is not school appropriate. It echoes through the hallway. Other students freeze. Someone outside actually stops walking. Anjou-san immediately loses it. Full body laughter, tears in her eyes, barely breathing. She doubles over, cackling, while Sato turns approximately 17 shades of red. She clocks that his ears are his weak spot, and you can already see the gears turning behind her eyes. Sato desperately tries to play it off. He fails completely. She files this information away like a weapon for later. Now they're crammed together in a bathroom stall. Not by choice. At least, not Sato's. Cleaning duty got complicated. Other students are right outside, and Anjou-san somehow made hiding together feel like the only logical solution. She's pressed close. Sato is internally screaming, and she smells good, which is making everything significantly worse. The guys outside are slacking off, laughing about how cleaning is for idiots. Meanwhile, Sato is crouched in the men's bathroom with a girl who absolutely should not be in there. Anjou-san finds this hilarious. Sato finds this catastrophic. They waited out together in the most chaotic 15 seconds of his academic career. Turns out Anjou-san knew couples use that bathroom stall. That's why she picked it. She drops this casually, like she's reading a weather report. Sato short circuits. She nods toward the Western-style stall like she's giving a tour. He didn't know. He definitely knows now. She laughs at his expression and flicks his forehead. Later, Sato ends up doing the cleaning duty alone, because of course everyone else ditched. He scrubs the bathroom spotless, determined and meticulous, completely alone. Then Anjou-san walks in, takes one look at the gleaming tiles, and is genuinely, visibly impressed. She didn't expect that from him. That pause, that tiny moment of real surprise, says more than she probably intended. Someone spots them leaving together, and the school gossip machine starts humming. Anjou-san's friend catches a glimpse of them tucked away somewhere private, clearly close, clearly something. She goes feral, internal kwaya energy radiating off the page. Then Anjou-san casually admits she gave Sato a kohobi, a practice kiss. The friend short-circuits. Sato is equally unhinged about it in his own quiet way. He sits at his desk replaying the moment, analyzing it like it's a math problem he'll never solve. Anjou-san acted like it was nothing, like it was just a reward, a little game. But his lips are still tingling, and his brain has completely abandoned the building. He tells himself she was just killing time. The classroom scenes show them orbiting each other without acknowledging it. Anjou-san is loud and laughing. Sato is quiet and studying, and somehow they keep gravitating toward the same space. He watches her from the corner of his eye, then immediately looks away. She notices. She always notices. Then she makes him an offer. Tell her something honest, actually honest, and she'll give him a real kiss, not a practice one. Sato's eyes blow wide open. She's smiling like she's already won, leaning on his desk, completely casual. He blurts out the truth before his brain can stop him. He confesses he's never kissed anyone. She laughs, not meanly, but warmly, like it's the most endearing thing she's heard all week. She confirms it's true, and there's this brief flicker of something genuine on her face before she covers it up again. Then she asks about her own experience, almost as an afterthought. Almost. Her internal monologue says she's probably done stuff like this before, but then pauses. There's a but hanging there that she doesn't finish. She looks out the window, playing with her pen, suddenly a little quieter than usual. Sato is too busy processing the earlier conversation to notice the shift. He should have noticed. She tells him directly she was turned on by a movie sex scene and couldn't sleep. Sato is launched straight into orbit. She says it like she's reporting the weather, while Sato tries to remember how breathing works. They end up talking about a horror movie that apparently had a beach scene halfway through, which Anjou-san found funnier than scary. Sato slept terribly because of the horror elements. Anjou-san slept terribly for entirely different reasons. Neither of them says this out loud, but it hangs between them anyway. She gives him a lollipop she already licked, casually without warning, and tells him it's sweet. He can't even be mad. He's just overwhelmed. She asks why he's always so inadvertently attractive, and he has no answer. Anjou-san has been getting more and more involved in Sato's life lately, showing up early, pulling him into conversations, sitting closer than necessary. Sato notices this but keeps telling himself it means nothing. She's just bored. She's just killing time. But the last image says everything, her hand drifting toward his while he stares at his notes, not moving away, and neither is she. 5:35 p.m. Anjou-san drags Sato into a lingerie store and starts holding up options like she's shopping for herself. Frilly types, sexy string types, cute types. She lists them all while Sato's soul slowly leaves his body in the background. Then she leans in close and drops the line. "Whichever you like, I'll wear it for you, Sato." His internal monologue becomes one long panic spiral of, "Why? What am I doing? I'm dying!" He blurts out, "That one!" before his brain catches up to his mouth, pointing at a black bra like he just answered a pop quiz. Anjou-san grins and vanishes into the fitting room without another word. Sato stands there, sweating, trying to remember what textbooks are. This is not how his afternoon was supposed to go. She steps out and holds it up against herself, asking what he thinks, and Sato can barely form a syllable. She laughs, shows off that it's see-through, and asks if it's amazing with the energy of someone describing the weather. Then she turns it around and asks him to just pick one for her already. He's going to pass out in a lingerie store on a Tuesday. Back in the school library earlier that same week, Sato is quietly reading with a faint smile when Anjou-san materializes next to him out of nowhere. She tells him he looks like a pervert reading textbooks with that expression, then immediately pretends to be devastated when his first reaction is surprise at seeing her. She pouts, produces puppy eyes, and says she was really happy to see him, and then laughs because she's absolutely making fun of him. But between the teasing, she asks, almost quietly, if he could come shopping with her as an apology. Sato assumes books. Sato assumed wrong. The reveal of the lingerie store sign hits him like a truck he had no reason to expect. He walked straight into this with absolutely zero defense. Now a storm rolls in while they're still near the lockers, and thunder cracks loud enough to make Anjou-san freeze completely. She's shaking, trying to play it off, snapping, "You got a problem with it?" when Sato almost catches on. But her face says everything. All that fearless energy suddenly gone in an instant. Sato just smiles quietly. He likes this side of her too. They end up sheltering in a manga cafe to wait out the storm, and Anjou-san immediately crashes. Out cold, like she just finished a marathon. Sato can't wake her up. The staff gives them a look, and he ends up in the most unintentionally compromising position of his life, all in a private booth. He is exhausted in ways that cannot be measured. She jolts awake mid-dream, wild-eyed, and asks, "Which girl do you like from here?" pointing at a manga cover. Sato, deeply flustered, mumbles something about whichever one is closest to her hand. Anjou-san loses it laughing, cackling so hard she nearly falls off the seat, because somehow that was the most Sato answer he could have possibly given. The manga cafe reader booth just sits there silently judging both of them. Sato is holding a book he's no longer reading. Anjou-san is wiping tears from laughing. The internal caption hanging over the scene asks why this girl just can't say she likes him and get it over with, because she's clearly fighting it and losing. It's just the two of them in that small private room, and Sato is acutely, painfully aware of it. He keeps trying to think about something else and keeps failing. Anjou-san sips her drink, completely at ease, like this is the most normal afternoon imaginable. He tells himself to stop reading into it. He is not going to stop reading into it. A new character enters, Komaki-sensei, the school nurse, who apparently has the same manga taste as Sato and casually asks to borrow a volume at the lockers. Anjou-san watches this exchange with narrowed eyes and absolutely no comment. The scene is brief, quiet, and somehow deeply suspicious. This woman noticed Sato was looking better than before, said so unprompted, and walked away carrying liquor store bags. Anjou-san connects these dots faster than Sato does. She grabs his ear, demands to know what that exchange was, and Sato is completely bewildered because to him it was just a manga loan. But Anjou-san is not buying it. Something just shifted, and the way she's looking at him is different from her usual teasing. They end up on the school rooftop, because of course they do. And Anjou-san is perched on the ledge like gravity is optional. Seto is mid-sentence about how this is dangerous when she leans in full force and pins him down, demanding to know how long he plans to just sit there. He scrambles, she laughs, and the staff at the cafe below them collectively sighs, "Damn kids." She fake scares him off the ledge. Turns out there's another floor below, no actual fall, and Sato is furious in that specific way where he can't stop laughing at himself too. She's cackling, dangling her legs off the edge and yells, "Let's just skip and do fun things." Like that is a completely reasonable thing to shout from a rooftop. He wants to be mad, he really does. Somehow, she made him lunch, homemade, on a rooftop, with a secret ingredient. Sato stares at the bento like it's a trap, takes a bite, and immediately his whole face changes. It's genuinely delicious. He cannot believe this. She beams and says the secret ingredient is her love for Seto, delivered with a heart symbol and zero shame whatsoever. He sputters, goes red, mumbles, whatever, and she asks him simply, "Does it make you happy?" The question lands differently than everything else she's said today. It's softer, it's real. He doesn't answer out loud, but the look on his face answers for him. Now she's crouched in front of him, holding out a takoyaki ball, and demanding he open up and say, "Ah." Sato refuses on the grounds that he can literally see down her shirt from this angle, and she tilts her head like that's a completely irrelevant objection. He covers his face. She waits. He loses. The food is good. She watches him eat with the kind of quiet satisfaction that doesn't look like teasing at all. For a second, the game stops. For a second, it's just two people on a rooftop in the afternoon, and whatever this is between them feels less like a joke and more like something neither of them has said out loud yet. And that's the problem. Anjou-san keeps getting closer and closer, and Sato keeps letting her, and nobody is calling it anything. She drops confessions wrapped in comedy so he can't tell what's real. He responds with panic and red ears and zero poker face. But the rooftop and the lunch and the secret ingredient are something different, and they both know it. The last image is the two of them sitting side by side as the sun starts to dip. Anjou-san leaning just slightly against him, Sato not moving away. No punchline, no sound effect. Just the city below them, and whatever word neither of them has said yet hanging in the air between them, like it's one conversation away from changing everything. 5:50 p.m. Sato is on a packed train when he spots it happening right in front of him. A guy named Inuyama getting way too close to a girl, then playing innocent the moment someone notices. Sato freezes. His brain runs through every reason he shouldn't get involved. He's scared, he's nobody. What could someone like him even do? A single word floats up from the back of his mind like an accusation. Pathetic. He doesn't move. The train pulls away, and he hates himself for it. But then Anjou-san appears at the top of the stairs, pinches his cheek hard, and tells him she knows he wouldn't actually say something like that. Just kidding. See you. Bye. She walks off, smiling, and Sato stands there, still processing what just happened. His friend Inuyama immediately starts grilling him about why he didn't do anything, calling him pathetic in a completely different and less forgivable way. Someone in the stairwell overhears Inuyama's loudmouth retelling and casually reports that apparently Sato said he wanted to touch Anjou-san's chest. Anjou-san, already one step above them on the stairs, slowly turns around. Seto's blood pressure does something medically concerning. She asks, voice dangerously sweet, what exactly was said about her. Inuyama doubles down and starts rating women in the school, including Komaki-sensei, who he pegs as probably an eye cup. Anjou-san materializes glowing like a divine presence at the mention of Komaki, while Sato stands behind her trying to remember what oxygen does. The whole thing spirals into a conversation about cups, career forms, and whether Anjou has flat ones, a topic she handles with exactly the level of violence it deserves. Inuyama pulls out his own career form, completely filled with job where you make boobs, and announces his plans to attend an art school for sculpting. He thrusts a figure he made at Sato, asking what he thinks. It is objectively impressive work. It absolutely does not match his face or personality. Anjou-san watches Sato's hands move over the sculpture and quietly notes he's good with his hands as usual. Sato's form is blank. He can't think of a single thing to write. Anjou-san leans over and asks if she can check what he wrote, then smirks at the nothing on the page. The teacher announces everyone who hasn't submitted the form needs to do it by end of day. Sato is very much one of those people. Anjou-san says she wants to be a stylist, among other things, and drops it like it's obvious. He thinks she has something she actually wants. That's amazing. She then reveals that the reason she made him take his shirt off was to trim his hair, because unkempt hair annoys her professionally and personally. This makes some things make more sense and creates entirely new problems. She circles him with scissors and tells him not to move, while he tries to comprehend how he ended up shirtless in a schoolroom having his hair cut by the most dangerous girl he knows. She leans in extremely close while cutting, tells him she's experienced at this, won't make it hurt, and to not be scared. Sato lets out a sound that echoes down the entire hallway. The result ends up looking clean and noticeably better. She's clearly talented. He tells her he really likes it. She flicks him for saying it too honestly. She gets cornered by a guy confessing to her outside, and Sato happens to walk past at exactly the wrong moment. She clocks him immediately and pins him against the wall. "Were you bothered?" she asks, "by watching me get confessed to?" She's too close. He can't think. She says she can't hold back anymore, leans in with full eye contact, and whispers, "Those guys just want one thing," and Sato is the only one she trusts with her secrets. The next morning, Sato wakes up not knowing how he got home, declares the whole situation the worst, and walks into school dreading seeing her. Anjou-san spots him, calls him the shy boy with a grin, and immediately informs him she's wearing the lingerie she bought yesterday. He short-circuits on the spot, and the day has barely started. She drags him into the fitting room area, surrounded by girls, loud and chaotic, and informs him she wants to know what he thinks. She needs him to look at it properly. She opens the curtain. It's the one he picked. She asks if it's cute with the same energy as asking about lunch, while Sato tries to locate his soul somewhere in the vicinity of his body. He manages to say it looks good on her. She grins, says she'll go with this one, and snaps the curtain shut. Outside, the other shoppers are whispering that the guy waiting looks dangerous. Sato is sitting there vibrating at a frequency not visible to the human eye. She's behind the curtain, wearing the thing he chose. This is not a normal afternoon. She slides the curtain open just slightly. "Hey, got a sec?" and beckons him closer. He says yes in a voice that does not belong to a functioning person. She tugs him gently toward the fitting room door. He asks why. She doesn't answer. The curtain is right there, and so is everything behind it. Anjou-san leans close and tells him quietly, "You're the only one who knows what lingerie she's wearing right now." "It's like a secret," she says. "Isn't it exciting?" And then she's sitting across from him in class the next period, completely normal, while Sato stares at his desk, unable to remember a single word of whatever subject is being taught. This is what she does. She hands him something that feels real, then wraps it in a game so he can never be sure. He can't call it anything. He can't dismiss it either. She picked the lingerie he pointed at and she wore it the next day, and she told only him. And now Sato is trying to solve a math problem using feelings as variables. Back on the train, the unresolved moment with Inuyama keeps replaying. Sato ran the numbers on what could go wrong if he intervened and chose frozen silence. Anjou-san said she knew he wasn't like that, but she also called him pathetic, even in a tease, and the word keeps echoing. He's starting to wonder if she's been challenging him this whole time, and he keeps grading himself a C-. The career form is still blank. He watches Anjou-san from across the room, laughing, cutting hair, wearing secrets like jewelry, planning a future with actual specifics in it. He has nothing to write down. Not because he doesn't feel anything, but because the one thing filling every available space in his head right now is a person who still hasn't told him what any of this means. And he's not sure he's brave enough to ask. He pulls out a pen, stares at the form. Anjou-san glances over from her desk across the room and catches him looking. She doesn't tease. She just tilts her head slightly, like a question she's waiting for him to answer, and then goes back to whatever she was doing, like she already knows what's on his mind and is perfectly content to let him figure it out. 6:18 p.m. The school's sports tournament is coming up, and Sato somehow ends up as the only one actually doing the organizational work. Everyone else is busy making pom-poms and having a great time. Anjou-san materializes to drag him away from it, grabs his face, and informs him he's coming with her right now. He has no say in this. He never does. She pulls him into a first aid training session. A firefighter is running it, and all the class organizers are supposed to be there. Kamaki-sensei is present too, which means the energy in the room is already complicated. Pairs are assigned, and since Sato's partner bailed, Komaki-sensei looks at him with those eyes and says he can pair up with her. Sato's soul briefly leaves the building. The CPR demonstration begins, and Anjou-san lies down on the floor like she's been waiting for this moment her whole life. She tells Sato to go ahead, chest compressions, and watches his face cycle through every stage of crisis. The instructor clarifies this is just training and pretending is fine. Sato's hands are shaking like he's defusing a bomb. He gets his hands near her and she immediately guides them into position, asking sweetly if he's placing them in the right spot. He sputters. The instructor tells them to take it seriously, and Anjou-san announces the next lesson will be mouth to mouth. The room goes quiet. Sato goes fully offline. Komaki-sensei steps in and demonstrates the breathing check. Lean over, listen, watch the chest rise. She does it calmly and professionally with Sato as the patient, getting close enough that he turns the color of a fire alarm. She asks if he'd like to swap so he can practice being the rescuer. He says yes. She says nah, she prefers being the rescuer. Of course she does. Afterward, Anjou-san is walking the halls wrapped in someone else's uniform jacket. Apparently her clothes got soaked, and she explains this in a way that somehow makes it worse. Sato is leaving in a towel. They meet Anjou-san's friends in the corridor. Toyota-san, the cool, quiet type who reads everyone without saying much, and Chita-san, who is already invested in Sato specifically. Hot Pot is proposed as a solution to whatever is happening. The Hot Pot gathering is chaos in a good way. Toyota-san silently assesses the entire situation. Chita-san eats at an inhuman speed. Anjou-san asks Sato point blank if he'd do couple things with her if they were dating, then calls him a pervert when his answer is too honest. Someone watching from the outside suddenly announces that a Gyaru teasing a nervous guy is the greatest thing she's ever witnessed. Nobody at the table disagrees. Anjou-san grabs Sato and drags him away for just a second, with a lollipop in her mouth and zero explanation. He protests about tournament prep work. She says, "Forget it, come on, okay?" He goes. He always goes. She hid a gecko in the school counselor's bag and got caught, so now she needs someone to hide with her in the equipment room while security passes. Seto becomes an accessory to gecko-based school crime. She looks up at him from the floor of the equipment room and says, casually, like it means nothing, that she'll be the one comforting him today. He doesn't know what that means yet, but the way she says it sounds less like a game and more like a decision. Something just shifted, even if neither of them is ready to name it. The train ride home starts out normal, and then doesn't. Seto spots Inuyama, the same guy from the train incident weeks ago, doing it again, right next to a girl who clearly doesn't know what to do. All that internal paralysis from before comes flooding back. The fear, the math, the word pathetic. And then, for the first time, something else comes up instead. He moves. Not gracefully, not confidently. He just moves, puts himself between the girl and the guy, and says no, out loud, in a crowded train. His hands are shaking and his voice cracks, but he does it. The guy bolts at the next stop. Sato crouches on the platform afterward, wrung out, mentally replaying how he should have caught him. He calls himself pathetic again. He's wrong this time. The girl approaches him quietly to say thank you, her voice small. Sato tells her he got scared too and nothing happened in the end, so don't worry about it. Playing it off, embarrassed, trying to fold back into invisible. Anjou-san is behind him watching. She grabs his face in both hands, absolutely beaming, and asks him what exactly he thinks he's doing being cool like that. On the platform in the aftermath, Anjou-san refuses to let go of his sleeve, while Chita-san watches from the side with quiet fascination. Anjou-san tells him the molester is the one at fault. Don't apologize for doing the right thing. Then she wonders out loud whether she should smash the guy's phone. Seto says that's a bit much. She says she'd like to. This is somehow the most honest she's been all chapter. But the trouble isn't over. At the station, someone clocked Sato grabbing the guy and misread the whole thing. Before he can explain, a voice cuts through the crowd calling him a molester. The word lands like a physical blow. He's standing there with witnesses he doesn't have, and a situation he can't explain fast enough, and the whole platform staring at him. He panics. His brain throws up expulsion letters, tabloid headlines, a future made of rubble, everything he's worked to be. The class president, the responsible one, the guy who finally did something right for once. About to get buried under a misunderstanding so complete it's almost poetic. The word pathetic shows up again, but this time it's accusing him of something he didn't do. And then, a hand grabs the actual molester by the collar from behind. Anjou-san is already moving, already talking, already pointing at witnesses before the crowd can settle into the wrong conclusion. She saw everything. She knows exactly who did what. She says it with a kind of calm authority that doesn't look like the girl who eats lunch on rooftops and hides from counselors. The real guy gets handed to station security. The crowd disperses. Sato is sitting on the floor of the platform, completely done. Anjou-san stands over him with her arms crossed, looking deeply entertained by how dramatically he melted down. He managed to do the right thing, twice in one evening, and she was there for both of them. He still hasn't figured out what that means. The train pulls away with both of them on it. Anjou-san sitting closer than necessary, Sato staring at his hands. He did the thing. He grabbed the guy's wrist on the train. The moment from chapter 1 that he failed, finally rewritten. But the girl on the platform still looked at him with that expression. It was you, right? And the question hangs in the air longer than the answer does. Something in Sato broke open tonight, and something else is building in its place. Anjou-san isn't teasing him right now. She's just sitting there, close, quiet, watching the city go by. And Sato doesn't move away. The chapter ends on that. Two people on a train going home. The gap between them smaller than it's ever been, and neither one willing to be the first to say what that means. 9:58 p.m. Claude responded. Sato gets through the CPR chest compression portion by sheer willpower and a lot of internal screaming. Pretending, and then Anjou-san. Sato gets through the CPR chest compression portion by sheer willpower and a lot of internal screaming. Pretending. And then Anjou-san announces it's time for mouth to mouth. She says it in 2 syllables, stretched out, with a heart in her voice. Seto's entire nervous system files for early retirement. He kneels over her, tilts her head back to secure the airway, leans in, and his brain is running 17 simultaneous loops of, this is just training, this is just pretending, do not have weird thoughts. Her lips are right there. His face is approximately 6 centimeters from them. She opens one eye and watches him suffer. He notes, helplessly, that this is kind of erotic. He gets the nosebleed during training. Of course he does. Anjou-san is delighted in that specific way where she's laughing at him but also clearly pleased. She tells him if she ever actually needed help, it'd probably be impossible for him to save her. And he says, completely seriously, that if that happened, he'd do everything in his power to help her. The tone shifts for exactly 1 second before Anjou-san processes what he just said. She hits him. Not hard, just startled, reflexive, the kind of contact that happens when someone says something that lands differently than expected. Sato is left sitting there going, what was... While Anjou-san turns away and goes quiet. The sky behind them is getting dark. Neither of them is saying the obvious thing.